Look around you, friends. Look at your phone. Look at your quiet room. Look at the peaceful streets outside your window. Everything seems normal, right? Everything looks exactly the same as it did yesterday. You think you are safe. You think the word you woke up to this morning is same. Word you went to sleep in last night. But let me tell you something that will make the hair on your arm stand up straight. Right now, as you are sitting in that chair watching this screen, a massive invisible seismic shift has just occurred beneath the surface of global civilization, a red line that has kept human society stable for last 80 years has just not been crossed. It has been completely vaporized. The absolute highest level of global intelligence network are in a state of pure, unadulterated panic. Commands are being sent through encrypted underground bunkers. Deep sea cables are buzzing with desperate communications. Elite military units are being mobilized under total radio silence. And yet, if you turn on the mainstream news, if you turn on the mainstream news channels right now, what do they show you? Nothing. They are talking about the stock market fluctuating by a half percent. They're talking about celebrity gossip. They're talking about political theater that means absolutely nothing. They are feeding you baby food to keep you calm, while the very foundation of the global power structure is cracking in half. I'm not here tonight to give you the standard watered down news narrative. You know me. This is AK Kashyap Unfiltered. We don't do script approved by corporate billionaires. We do the raw, brutal, naked truth. And tonight, what I have on my desk, the documents, the satellite tracking logs, the secret ultimatums that were thrown face to face behind heavy, soundproof doors just our echo, is so explosive that it will fundamentally alter how you look at the carpet of security for the rest of your life. Most people living on this planet are completely blind. They walk through their lives assuming that the system is unbreakable. They think that because they have money in the bank, electricity in their walls, and fuel in their cars, the world is functioning smoothly. They don't realize that the entire modern world is a house of cards sitting on a cliffside during a hurricane. And someone just pulled the foundational card from the very bottom. Stay with me, do not look away from this screen for even a single split second because over the next some time I am going to peel back the layers of a massive, terrifying global chess move that has put a literal ticking clock on the survival of global stability. This is a move so calculated, so dangerous, and so unprecedented that it connects the world's most powerful billionaire leaders' secret weapon technologies that the public think are science fiction and sudden violent standoff that could turn the lights out on global commerce by morning tomorrow. But before I pull back the curtain on this terrifying reality, I need to know who is in the room with me tonight. I need to know who I am talking to. Look, the world is filled with sheep. It is filled with people who want to be lied to. They want to watch comfortable lies on television, go to sleep, and pretend everything is fine. But if you clicked on this video tonight, you are not one of them. You are different. You are looking for the raw reality. You have that gut feeling, that deep internal instinct that tells you something is deeply wrong with the official narrative. You are not just a casual viewer, you are a truth warrior. A truth warrior is someone who refuses to accept the spoon fed propaganda of the mainstream media. A truth warrior has the courage to look directly into the dark, ugly corners of global geopolitics and demand the unvarnished facts. We are building an army of minds here, an unfiltered community that can see through the smoke and mirrors of the elite. Right now, the algorithm of big tech do not want this information to get out. They want to suppress independent, bold analysis because a population that knows the truth is a population that cannot be controlled. If you are a true truth warrior, I need you to stand up right now and claim your place in this fight. Hit that follow button immediately. Subscribe to AK Kashyap Unfiltered right this second. Do not wait. And most importantly, smash that share button. Send this live stream link to your WhatsApp group, your Twitter feeds, your Telegram channels, your friends, and your family. If you know someone who is still asleep, who still thinks the world is perfectly safe, send this to them right now and wake them up. We need to flood the digital space before the gates are closed. Share it now. Let the world know the truth warriors are assembling. And let's show them that they cannot silence the unfiltered truth. Type truth warrior in the live chat right now if you are standing with me. Let me see those comments rolling in. The chat is moving at lightning speed. Beautiful. Now that the truth warrior are here, now that the perimeter is secure, let's go deeper into the mystery. Think about this. What would happen if the single most critical asset of a nation, an asset that represents its entire future, its pride, its technological survival, and billions of dollars of investment, was suddenly compromised in a matter of minutes by an enemy that no one saw coming? What if a weapon that costs less than your laptop completely bypassed a multi billion-dollar defense shield that was supposed to be impenetrable? Imagine the psychological shock waves moving through the minds of the world leaders right now. Imagine sitting in a position of ultimate power, believing you are completely untouchable, only to realize that your worst nightmare has just come true and you have absolutely no way to stop it. This didn't happen by accident. This isn't a random glitch in the system. Everything that is unfolding right now is part of a dark, calculated sequence of events. It is a domino effect. It is a domino effect. One hidden event led to a secret negotiation. That negotiation turned into a brutal insult. That insult turned into a silent command, and that silent command has now triggered a reaction that has brought the world's most volatile region to the absolute edge of explosion. Here is where things get truly haunting. Most people think was that wars are fought with massive armies chasing on open battlefield. They think it's about tanks, infantry, and visible declarations of hostility. That is old thinking, guys. This is 21st century thinking. Modern warfare is a phantom. It is asymmetric. It is a shadow game where you don't even know who is pulling the trigger until the fire is already burning. It is the game where a small group of people sitting in hidden bank bunker thousands of miles away can hold the entire global economy hostage without ever firing a single conventional bullet. Right now, a specific country's leader has completely snapped. He didn't just issue a standard diplomatic warning through an ambassador. He went rogue. He used advanced technology to broadcast highly detailed terrifying mental images of total destruction directly to his adversaries. He has put an actual countdown on its profile, telling his enemies that the Big Bang is coming, that the time has completely run out. Think about the sheer, unhinged trauma of that moment. We are talking about leaders who control world destroying arsenals, acting out of pure fury, pride, and desperation. And what about the impact on you? You might be thinking, AK, why should I care about secret negotiations and shadow moves helping across the ocean? How does this affect my life? Let me break down your illusion of separation. If the standoff that is happening right now breaks out into open conflicts over the next 24 hours, the ripples will hit your doorsteps like a tsunami. It will alter the cost of fuel you put in your vehicles. It will crash the supply chains that bring food to your local supermarket. It will instantly raise the insurance premiums for every single commercial ship moving through the most important ocean channels on the planet. It will force the global superpowers to redirect their aircraft carriers, leaving other parts of the world completely vulnerable to exploitation. Your pocket, your job, your security, and your daily life are directly tied to the terrifying event that just took place on the global map. You are a part of this chess game whether you like it or not. The only difference is the elites know the rules and you are being kept in the dark until tonight. Stay with me because the biggest reveal is coming. In just few moments, I'm going to transition into the absolute core of this broadcast. I'm going to open the map. I'm going to show you the exact coordinates of where the strike happened. I'm going to give you the names of the facilities, the specific details of the 5 point ultimatum that triggered this crisis, and the precise breakdown of who benefits and who loses everything in this high stake game, of this high stake gamble. We are going to look at the virtual map. We are going to travel from the high mountains to the deep oceans, from desert sands to the concrete war rooms of Washington and Tehran. You will see the entire puzzle come together piece by piece perfectly, simply and completely unfiltered. Before we cross the point of no return, I reveal the exact topic and location of this global emergency. I have one final directive for the army of minds in this room. If you want to ensure that independent truth survives on internet, if you want to make sure that we keep breaking down the global matrix without fear or censorship, you need to act right now. To every single person watching this right now, if you have not done it yet, hit that follow button on AK Kashyap Unfiltered. Subscribe to the channel immediately. Become a verified truth warrior. And do not keep this stream to yourself. The mainstream algorithm are actively trying to suppress this live broadcast because of sensitivity of the information I'm about to disclose. We need to break their digital wall. Share this stream link everywhere right now. Post it on your Facebook. Drop into your office group. Chats. Tweet it out with maximum urgency. Tell everyone to join right now because once I reveal what is happening on the global stage tonight, there is no turning back. The world will never look the same to you again. You are ready, chat? Are you ready to see the real raw gears of global power turn? Take a deep breath. Get your notebooks out. Lock your doors. Turn up the volume and focus your eyes completely on the screen. Welcome to AK Kashyap Unfiltered. This is not just news. This is a global power move. Let's look at the map. Let's look at the facts and let's blow the lid of the biggest global crisis of our generation right now. So, my dear friends, my truth warriors, get uncomfortable because what I am about to tell you tonight is going to change the way you look at the word map. Right now, as we speak, the Middle East is staring down the barrel of a literal nuclear catastrophe. This is not another minor border skirmish. This is not another back on the fourth drone exchange that we see every day on social media. This is a terrifying, unprecedented shift in global warfare. A drone strike has just targeted and hit the Barakash nuclear power plant in the United Arab Emirates. Think about that for a second. A nuclear installation in the richest, most stable hub of the Middle East has been hit by exploding kamikaze drones. The UAE is absolutely furious. They are warning of immediate, massive retaliation, stating openly that they will not tolerate this existential threat to their security. And while the UAE is preparing its military across the ocean in Washington, D.C., Donald Trump has completely lost his cool. He did not just release a statement, he has gone on a massive social media rampage, posting over 20 high detailed AI generated images of American lasers and bombs obliterating Iran. He has put a literal clock on his profile with the words, "The clock is ticking, Big Bang." The world is standing on the absolute edge of a massive, uncontrollable regional war that will drag the United States, China, India, and the entire global economy into the black hole. Let me give you the raw facts immediately. Using the classic inverted pyramid style, most important information first. Three suicide drones were launched through the skies of the Arabian Peninsula. Their target, the ultra modern $20 billion Barakah nuclear power station located in Al Tafra region of Abu Dhabi. Now, the UAE's multi-billion dollar air defense network, which includes American Patriot missiles and the advanced THAAD system, sprang into action. They managed to shoot down two of the incoming drones, but the third drone, it got through. It slipped through a crack in the air defense blanket and crashed directly into the facility. Let me clarify the damage right away because I know what you are thinking. Did it blow up the reactor? Is there radiation? No. Fortunately, the inner core, the heavily armored reactor containment zone remains completely intact. There is no radiation leak right now. No casualties have been reported, and the core system are still operating normally. But here is where the absolute nightmare lies. The drone hit the external electrical generator system. It sparked a massive fire right next to the reactor complex. In the world of nuclear physics, cutting the external power or damaging the external power generators of a nuclear plant is just as dangerous as hitting the reactor itself. Stay with me until the very end of this live stream because the biggest reveal is coming. I am going to show you exactly how this single drone strike is tied to a secret, brutal diplomatic breakdown between Donald Trump and the Iranian regime that happened just 48 hours ago behind the closed doors. Most people think this drone strike was random. No, it was not. It was a direct response to a rejected peace proposal, and I am going to break down the secret 5 point ultimatum that Trump threw in Iran's face. If you want to understand how this is going to impact your wallet, your fuel prices, and the global balance of power, Do not look away from this screen. Let's take a step back because this didn't start today. It goes back into a complex web of energy, pride, and deep seated geopolitical rivalries. To understand why a fire at an external generator in Abu Dhabi has Donald Trump threatening World War III, you need to understand what the Barakah nuclear power plant actually represents. Let's use our virtual map technique. Visualize the Arabian Peninsula from the high, rugged mountains of Oman in the east, stretching across the vast burning sands of the empty Quarter Desert, all the way down to the deep blue waters of the Persian Gulf in the south, right there on the western coasts of Abu Dhabi. Sitting right next to the border of Saudi Arabia lies the Barakah facility. This is not just a building with cooling towers. This is the first commercial nuclear power plant in the entire Arab world. It is the only operational nuclear power station on the entire Arabian Peninsula. For the UAE, Barakah is the crown jewel. It cost over $20 billion to build, designed and constructed with the top tier technological assistance of South Korean engineers giants. It went fully operational in 2020 and it represents the future. Think about the irony here, friends. The UAE is one of the biggest producers on earth of oil. They are sitting on the oceans of crude oil, yet they spent $20 billion to build a nuclear plant. Why? Because of long term strategic masterstroke, the UAE wants to post oil economy. They want to preserve their oil for export and use clean, massive nuclear energy to power their own domestic, futuristic megacities, their massive data centers, and their crucial water desalination plants. Let me put this into the perspective for you. Barakah single handedly generates 25% of the entire electricity needs of the United Arab Emirates. One quarter of the nation's power comes from this single point on the map. If Barakah goes offline, the UAE's economy stalls. They would have to instantly burn massive amount of domestic natural gas, halting their economic transition and ruining their international prestige. It is a symbol of Arab technological modernization, and that is exactly why it was targeted. Now, let's talk about why an attack on a nuclear plant external generator is an international war crime under international humanitarian law. Civil nuclear installations are given absolute special protection during conflicts. Why? Because the margin of error is zero. Let's look at the historical analogy to understand why the world is panicking. Remember the Fukushima disaster in Japan back in 2011 when the massive earthquake and tsunami hit Japan. The tsunami waves did not smash the nuclear reactors open. The reactors were perfectly fine. What the tsunami did was drown and destroy the external diesel generators, the power supply. You see, a nuclear reactor generates an unbelievable amount of heat. Even when you shut a reactor down, the nuclear fuel rods inside remain white hot for days. They require an uninterrupted continuous flow of water pumped in by massive electrical cooling system to keep them from melting. If you cut the electricity, the pump stops. If the pump stops, the water evaporates. If the water evaporates, the fuel rods melt down, build up hydrogen gas, and trigger a catastrophic thermonuclear explosion that spews deadly radioactive dust into the atmosphere. That is exactly what the attackers tried to do at Barakah. They did not try to punch through feet of reinforced concrete armor around the reactor. They targeted the external electrical generators to cut the power, attempting to trigger a Fukushima style meltdown right on the shores of the Persian Gulf. If that drone strikes had succeeded in completely knocking out the backup systems, the radioactive fallout wouldn't have just stayed in UAE. The prevailing winds of the Persian Gulf would have carried toxic, invisible cloud of radiation across Doha, Bahrain, the eastern oil fields of Saudi Arabia, and right across the shipping lane into Iran itself. It would have poisoned the water supply of millions of people who depend entirely on desalination plant in the Gulf. It would have crashed global shipping overnight. So, who did it? Who is mad enough to risk a regional nuclear apocalypse? While the UAE government hasn't formally published its final intelligence report, let's be completely unfiltered. All fingers, all intelligence tracking, and all radars log point directly to one source: Iran and its heavily armed network of regional proxy groups. Whether it was launched directly from Iranian soil or via their proxy groups like Houthi rebels in Yemen or Shia militia factions in Iraq, the technology, the command, and the intent belongs to Tehran. This brings up a massive question that my community is already asking in the forums. AK, how did a multi-billion-dollar military power like the UAE let a cheap drone hit its most critical asset? Where were the Patriot missile? Where was the thought system? Friends, let me break down the brutal reality of modern asymmetric warfare. This is where things get interesting. The UAE possesses some of the most advanced, expensive air defense system money can buy. They have spent tens of billions of dollars purchasing American hardware, but modern kamikaze drones are a completely different beast. Air defense systems, like the Patriot, were designed to attack, were designed to track and destroy massive high altitude ballistic missiles or fast moving supersonic fighter jets. Drones, however, are small. They are made of carbon fiber and plastic, giving them an incredibly tiny radar cross section. They fly incredibly low to the ground, hugging the terrain, hiding behind hills and sand dunes, completely blending into the surface clutter of standard radar networks. Worst out, the attackers don't just send one drone, they use a tactic called swarming. They launch 10, 15, or 20 low cost drones simultaneously from different directions. They completely overwhelm the processing power of the air defense system. The radars get confused. The missile launchers can only target so many objects at once, and while the air defense system successfully shoots down 90% of the threat, all it takes is one single, cheap $3,000 drone to slip through and set a $20 billion nuclear facility on fire. This is a terrifying imbalance of cost of power. A low tech drone can bypass a high tech defense network and hold a global superpower to ransom. Friends, let me break this down simply. Because this is where the real global chess game begins. To truly understand the gravity of this strike, we have to look past the smoke at the Baraka plant and look directly at the White House and the secret diplomatic warfare that led to this explosion. Why did Iran or its proxies decide to escalate to the level of nuclear terrorism right now? Most people don't know this, but just 48 hours before those drones altered, the sky of Abu Dhabi, a massive diplomatic breakdown occurred between Washington and Tehran. Donald Trump has been trying to force Iran into a corner, attempting to execute what his administration calls Epic Fury 2.0, a total economic and strategic strangulation of the Iranian regime. My sources and recent diplomatic leaks show that the US recently placed a brutal 5 point ultimatum on the table for Iran to surrender its strategic leverage. Let's look what Trump demanded. First, the US completely refused to grant Iran and financially compensation for the economic losses they suffered under Western sanctions over the last decade. And second, Trump demanded that Iran immediately hand over its entire stockpile of 400 kilograms of highly enriched uranium, the very core material Iran needs if it ever chooses to build a nuclear bomb. Trump wanted it shipped out the country, completely stripping Iran of its nuclear leverage. Third, the US demanded that Iran shut down almost all of its nuclear research facilities, allowing only one single heavily monitored site to remain operational under strict Western oversight. Fourth, Trump flatly refused to release 75% of Iran's billions of dollars in foreign assets that currently sit frozen in international banks. And fifth, in retaliation, Trump openly mocked and completely rejected Iran's own 14 point regional peace proposal, throwing it back in their faces after his high profile return from diplomatic talks in China. Iran realizes that under Trump's current strategy, they were being offered nothing but total humiliating surrender. They were being backed into a dark corner with no economic relief and no strategic dignity. And when a regime like Iran feels completely cornered, they don't surrender. They lash out. They use their asymmetric leverage to signal to the world, if you strangulate our economy, we will burn the entire Middle East down around you. Don't strike on the drone strike. The drone strike on the UAE's nuclear plant was Iran's direct bloody reply to Trump's ultimatum. It was a message written in fire by Turking Barakah. Iran is telling the United States and its wealthy Gulf allies, you think you are safe? Behind your billions of dollars, your American missile shields, you are not. We can hit your energy centers. We can turn your futuristic cities dark. We can make the Persian Gulf unlivable. Now, let's analyze the chessboard. Who benefits from this chaos and who stands to lose everything? Let's talk about the losers first. The biggest loser here is the United Arab Emirates at the border and the broader Gulf Cooperation Council (GCC). The UAE has spent the last 2 decades building an image as a safe, ultra-luxurious, hyper-modern oasis for global business, tourism, and technological investment. They want global tech giants to build data centers. They want international investors to park trillions of dollars in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. But the moment a nuclear power plant in your territory gets hit by a kamikaze drone, that illusion of absolute safety shatters. Capital is cowardly. Friends, money runs away at the first sign of instability. Insurance premiums for shipping through the Strait of Hormuz will skyrocket overnight. Foreign corporations will think twice before moving their headquarters to a region where drone strikes can threaten a nuclear meltdown. Now, let's talk about the global perspective and look at how this affects us. And the Indian Ministry of External Affairs issued an immediate urgent statement this morning. India stated that it is deeply concerned by the strike targeting the Baraka nuclear facility, calling such operation an unacceptable and dangerous escalation, and urgently calling for immediate restraint and a return to diplomacy. Why is India so deeply worried? Why isn't India just staying quiet? Because India has massive skin in this game. Over 3.5 million Indian citizens live and work in UAE alone. They send back billions of dollars in remittances every single year to the families in India. If the UAE's economy gets destabilized or if a conflict forces a mass evacuation, it triggers an unprecedented humanitarian and economic crisis for India. Furthermore, India imports a massive percentage of its crude oil and liquid natural gas from the Gulf. If the Strait of Hormuz gets locked down due to an active naval and drone war between the US and Iran, fuel prices at your local petrol pump in India, in Europe, in Africa, in Asia, in South Asia, or anywhere else globally will skyrocket. It will trigger a massive wave of global inflation, affecting the price of food, transports, and jobs. Your pocket is directly connected to that burning generator in Abu Dhabi. But now, let's look at the dark side of the geopolitics. Who actually benefits from this dangerous escalation? First, the hardliners inside Iran's benefit. They can tell their domestic population that they are actively standing up to the Western imperialists and their Gulf proxies. Second, look at the global energy competitors. When the Middle East becomes a volatile war zone, the global oil prices spike. Who benefits from hyper expensive oil? Major oil exporting nations outside the immediate conflict zone, such as Russia. See their state treasuries flood with billions of extra petrodollars, giving them more leverage and capital to fund their own long term geopolitical ambitions. This considers China's position. China relies heavily on Middle Eastern oil, yes, but a prolonged conflict that drains American military resources forces the US to deploy multiple aircraft carrier strike groups back to the Persian Gulf and completely consumes the attention of Washington is a massive strategic distraction. It completely takes the American focus away from the Indo Pacific theater, giving other global players room to expand their influence across crucial maritime boundaries. Friends, now close your eyes to the charts and the statistics for the moment. Step into cinematic storytelling mode with me. Let's go behind the heavy curtain of absolute secrecy. Imagine you are sitting right now in a deeply buried concrete war room beneath the streets of Tehran. The room is dimly lit, filled with the low hum of encrypted servers and glowing tactical screens tracking the movement of American warships in Indian Ocean. Around a large mahogany table sit at the top commanders of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC. On the main screen, they are watching the live satellite feed of Donald Trump's social media account. They see the 20 AI generated images flashing across the internet. Images of American stealth bombers, high tech laser weapons, and massive explosions tearing through Iranian cities. They read Trump's word, the clock is ticking, big bang. The senior general at the table looked around the room. His face is his face is hardened by the decades of shadow warfare. He looks at his ministers and says, "The Americans do not want to negotiate. They want our complete submission. They want to take our uranium, keep our billions frozen, and watch our people starve under sanctions, while their allies in Dubai and Abu Dhabi build glass palaces with our stolen security. If we sit here and do nothing, they will think we are weak. They will strike us. We must show them that if we bleed, the whole world bleeds with us. With a single node, the order is transmitted through encrypted satellites arranged down to proxy cells across the region. The drone containers are open. The coordinated for the Baraka nuclear power plant are punched into the guidance ships. The engines scream to life and the drones disappear into the dark night sky. Now, shift your perspective. Fly across the Persian Gulf and now imagine you are sitting inside the ultra modern, high tech command center of the UAE's Defense Forces in Abu Dhabi. It's an pristine room filled with holographic maps and latest Western defense tech. Suddenly, a red light begins to flash violently on the primary radar console. An officer shouts, multiple low altitude radar contracts detected crossing the maritime boundary. Speed 150 kilometers per hour. Altitude less than 30 meters. They are running silent. The commander steps forward, his heart pounding against his chest. Activate the Patriot batteries. Power up the thought systems. Intercept them immediately. Outside in the desert, the night is shattered by the roar of $1 million interceptor missiles blasting into the sky. Two massive explosions illuminate the clouds as two drones are blown to pieces. The operators in the war room let out a brief sigh of relief, but then a low level sensor screams, Sir, one contract is still live. It bypasses the secondary sector. It's descending directly onto the Baraka facility. Second later, a dull heavy boom echoes through the ground. The external generator area erupts into a violent ball of fire. The room goes dead silent. They realize the red line has just been crossed. Now jump across the Atlantic Ocean. Imagine you are inside the Oval Office in Washington, D.C., and it is late night. Donald Trump is pacing across the room, surrounded by his top military advisors and intelligence chief. The television screen on the wall are flashing breaking news, banners showing the fire at the Arab world's only nuclear plant. Trump turns to his generals, absolutely furious. They think they can play games with me? I just came back from intense negotiations. I laid down a beautiful, strong plan to neutralize their nuclear threat. And this is how they respond. They attack our closest allies. They target a nuclear plant. This is an insult to the United States. He grabs his secure phone, bypasses his traditional press team, and orders his digital staff to immediately deploy a massive psychological warfare campaign. He wants the Iranian regime to feel absolute terror. He orders the release of AI military strikes imaginary to signal to the Iranian leadership that their command centers, their bunkers, and their energy grids are already blocked into the crosshairs of American precision weapons. If I was the leader of UAE right now, what would I do? Let's put ourselves in the shoes of the ruler of Abu Dhabi. You are sitting on a delicate gold mine. Your country's wealth relies entirely on stability. You cannot afford a full scale destructive war that turns your glass cities into targets of hundreds of Iranian ballistic missiles. But at the same time, you cannot look weak. If you do not respond to a direct strike on your nuclear plant, you tell your enemies that your most vital infrastructure is open for target practice. If I were leading the UAE, I would execute a dual track strategy publicly. I would demand a massive emergency session of the United Nations Security Council, forcing Western powers to implement absolute crushing maritime blockades around Iran to stop the flow of drone components. Privately, I would use heavy diplomatic channels via countries like India or Oman to send a clear, unyielding warning to Tehran. The next drone that crossed our borders will result in the immediate symmetric destruction of your own commercial ports and energy terminals. We will not be the only ones going dark. Friends, let's bring this straight to the live chat right now. Friends, I want everyone to wake up and look at the reality what we are discussing about. Look at the balance of power we have just laid out. I'm looking directly at the live feed right now. Let me ask you a very direct question, and I was honest. Unfiltered answer is in the comment sections. Do you think Donald Trump's aggressive high pressure psychological warfare, posting AI images of bombs and giving ultimatums, is actually going to force Iran to back down, or is it going to backfire spectacularly and push Iran to build an actual nuclear bomb in secret? Let me see your thoughts. Type 1 in the chat if you think Trump's pressure will force Iran to surrender, and type 2 if you think Trump is making a massive mistake and pushing the world into the unavoidable war. Let's read some of these comments rolling in. I see many of you typing 2. You guys are smart. You understand the pride is a dangerous drug in geopolitics. When you completely strip a nation of its dignity, when you give them a 5-point ultimatum that looks like a total surrender document, you don't leave them a bridge to walk back across. You leave them with nothing to lose. Let's run an active live poll right now for the next 5 minutes. I want everyone in the chat to participate. If this situation escalates into a full-scale war in Persian Gulf, what should India's stance be? If this situation escalates into a full-scale war in the Persian Gulf, what should India's stance be? Option A. India should remain completely neutral, maintain its diplomatic balance, and focus solely on protecting its 3.5 million citizens in Gulf. Or option B. India should actively back the US-UAE alliance to protect global shipping lanes and stop state-sponsored proxy drones network once and for all. Think about this carefully, friends. If India goes with option A and remains completely silent, we preserve our leadership with Iran, which is crucial for our trade access to Central Asia through the Chabahar port. But we risk frustrating our massive economic partners in the UAE and the US. If India goes with option B, we secure our energy interest with the Gulf states, but we enter a volatile conflict that could set the entire region on fire right next to our maritime backyard. What should the US do? What should China do? Write your detailed breakdowns in the comment below. Write it down. I want to see how my community analyzes this global power dynamics. Let's summarize the absolute truth of what has transpired over the last 24 hours. We have entered a brand new era of global conflict. The strikes on Barakan nuclear power plant in the UAE is a historical turning point. It has proven to every military strategist on the earth that expensive conventional air defense network can be bypassed by cheap low-altitude kamikaze drone swarms. It has shown that civil nuclear installations are no longer scared or safe from regional shadow wars. The entire crisis is the direct result of a high-stakes diplomatic breakdown. Donald Trump attempted to completely break Iran with the brutal 5 point ultimatum, demanding their enriched uranium, refusing financial compensation, and freezing their global assets. Iran chooses to respond not with the words but with the exploding drones targeted at the most critical economic and energy assets in the Arab world. Now, the world stands at the critical crossroads. Donald Trump is utilizing aggressive psychological warfare, putting a ticking clock on his profile, threatening a big bang retaliation. The UAE is preparing its military options, and India is warning the international community that a dangerous, uncontrollable escalation is imminent. If this line breaks, the Persian Gulf will turn into an active war zone. Shipping lanes will close, oil prices will explode across the globe, and the financial stability of everyday citizens from the streets of Delhi to the financial centers of the New York will be severely impacted. My bold, unfiltered opinion on this is simple. Donald Trump is playing an incredibly dangerous game of chicken with the regime that views survival through the lens of the martyrdom. You cannot deter an advisory who believes that burning the entire region down is preferable to a slow, humiliating economic death. If the United States and its Gulf allies do not find a way to offer Iran a diplomatic exit ramp that preserves their strategic dignity while securing the safety of the global energy assets, we are not just looking at a local skirmish. We are looking at a catastrophic regional war that will redefine the global balance power for the next 50 years. The chessboard is set, the pieces are moving, and the clock is actively ticking. Follow AK Kashyap Unfiltered for real unfiltered geopolitics. Turn your notification on right now because the moment the next strike happens, the moment the next diplomatic shift occurs, it will be right there, live on camera. Breaking down the raw, unfiltered, unvarnished truth that the mainstream media is too afraid to tell you. All right, truth warriors, look at where we are standing right now. We have just spent last 50 minutes pulling apart the matrix, layer by layer, wire by wire. We started as a chaotic, confusing breaking news headline on your phone screen has been laid bare under the unfiltered lens of the reality. We didn't just read you a teleprompter script like those puppets on the mainstream network channels. We went straight into the dark, hidden engine room of global geopolitics. Let's look at the terrifying picture we have painted together tonight. Let's summarize exactly what has transpired on the global chessboard over the last 24 hours. Because you need to carry this blueprint in your mind the moment you step away from this screen. We started tonight with a sudden, unprecedented crisis on the Arabian Peninsula. The Barakah nuclear power plant, the $20 billion crown jewel of the United Arab Emirates, the first and the only operational commercial nuclear facility in the entire Arab world, was directly targeted and struck by low altitude kamikaze drone warfare. While the Western media missile shields managed to destroy two of the threats, a single cheap $3,000 drone slipped through a multi-billion-dollar defense system and set the external electrical generators on fire. We broke down the deep, terrifying physics of the strike. We realized that this was not just a minor fire, it was an attempt to replicate the Fukushima disaster of 2011 by cutting off the uninterrupted electrical cooling pumps to the nuclear core. If those backup generators had failed completely, a toxic, invisible cloud of radioactive fallout will be drifting across the Persian Gulf right now, positioning the desalination water supply of millions of people and paralyzing global commerce. But as truth warriors, we did not stop at the surface. We asked the forbidden question, why now? And that's when we uncovered the secret diplomatic warfare that took place 48 hours ago behind tightly closed doors in Washington. We exposed Donald Trump's brutal, uncompromising 5 point ultimatum under his epic Fury 2.0 strategy. Trump backed the Iranian regime into an absolute humiliating corner, demanding their 400 kilograms of enriched uranium, refusing a single dollar of financial compensation for past sanctions, freezing their global assets, and completely rejecting their 14 points regional peace proposal. We analyzed the psychological reality of geopolitics when you push a heavily armed volatile regime completely into a dark corner with zero exit ramp. They do not sign a surrender document. They lash out. The drone strike on UAE's nuclear plant was Iran's direct, bloody response to Trump's ultimatum. It was a message to Washington and its wealthy Gulf allies that if Iran's economy is forced to bleed out, they will hold the entire energy infrastructure of the Middle East hostage. And then we brought the chessboard straight home to your pocket. We looked at the global perspective. We analyzed why the Indian Ministry of External Affairs issued an immediate, deeply concerned warning calling for urgent restraint. This isn't just a localized dispute in the sands. If this red line completely snaps over the next few days, the ripples will tear through the global economy. Over 3.5 million Indian citizens living in UAE could face an unprecedented humanitarian crisis. The shipping lanes of the Strait of Hormuz will lock down under naval and drone crossfire. Insurance premiums for global freight will hit the roof. The prices of crude oil and liquid natural gas will skyrocket instantly, translating directly into massive inflation at your local fuel pumps, your grocery stores, and your electricity bills. Your daily survival is directly wired into that burning generator in Abu Dhabi. Right now, Donald Trump is escalating the psychological warfare to an absolute fever pitch, splashing AI generated images of total military obliteration across the internet and putting a literal countdown clock labeled Big Bang on his profile. The UAE is furious and drawing up heavy plans for direct retaliation. The entire world is holding its breath, standing on the razor thin edge of an all out regional war that will drag global superpowers into a black hole. Before I give you my final raw prediction on how this standoff is going to break over the next 48 hours, I need to speak directly to the army of minds breathing in this room right now. Look at the live chat. Look at how many of us are standing together while the rest of the world is completely asleep, hypnotized by useless entertainment and sanitized news narratives. You stay here. You demanded the unfiltered truth. You analyzed the charts. You looked at the virtual map and you look at the red pill. But our battle against the misinformation matrix doesn't end when I hit stop streaming button. In fact, that's exactly where your duty begins. Big tech algorithms are actively trying to suppress the independent geopolitical analysis like this because an aware, educated population cannot be manipulated by wartime propaganda. They want to bury this live stream under a mountain of digital noise. I need every single of you to act like a true truth warrior right this second. If you have not done it yet, hit that follow button on AK Kashyap Unfiltered immediately. Make sure you are permanently subscribed to this channel, and right now before you close this app, hit that share button with maximum force. Copy the link to this live stream and flood your social media networks. Drop it into your Telegram groups. Share it in your family WhatsApp chats. Tweet it out to your followers. Tell them you need to watch this breakdown if you want to understand why the world is about to change. We need our truth warriors to become a force multiplier. We need you to carry this torch of unfiltered reality into the darkness and wake up as many people as humanly possible. Share it now. Drop Truth Warrior in the comment section below to get me know you have deployed. And let's show the system that they cannot silence of an army awakened minds. Let's the chat explode with those Truth Warrior. Those Truth Warrior tags. I see you. I respect every single one of you. You are the backbone of this channel. Now, let me leave you with my final unvarnished verdict on where this global power move is headed. We are not going to see a clean, peaceful diplomatic resolution over the next few days. The level of pride, ego, and strategic investment on both sides is far too high. Donald Trump has staked his entire global reputation on being the ultimate strongman deal maker who can force his adversaries into submission through sheer intimidation. He cannot back down from his 5 point ultimatum without looking weak to his domestic voters and his global rivals. On the other side, the hardline military command inside Tehran knows that if they accept Trump's terms under the current condition, it means the slow organizing death of their regime. They have realized that their asymmetric drone and missile networks are the only real leverage they have left against Western military superiority. By successfully executing a precision strike on the Barakah nuclear plant, they have tasted blood. They have proven to themselves and to the world that they can bypass the most expensive air defense network on the earth. This means we are entering a highly volatile phase of kinetic shadow warfare. We might see sudden, mysterious cyber attacks shutting down critical infrastructure inside Iran. We might see deniable special forces operations targeting drone manufacturing facilities in the region. And in response, we will see more drone swarms attempting to overwhelm the maritime shipping corridors of the Persian Gulf. The danger of a single miscalculation right now is higher than it has been at any point in modern history. All it takes is one more drone slipping through a crack, one accidental hit on a nuclear reactor containment dome, or one American warship taking a direct hit to turn this cold, calculated chess game into a blinding hot regional explosion. I'm telling you this to make you afraid. No, I'm not. I'm not telling you this to make you afraid. A truth warrior does not feel fear. A truth warrior prepares. Knowledge is the ultimate armor in the 21st century. When you know the moves before they happen on the board, you cannot be blindsided by the chaos. I'm not going to tell you that this stream is ending. I'm not going to tell you goodbye because the truth never sleeps and the geopolitical clock is ticking louder by the seconds. As we speak, my eyes are glued back onto the live intelligence feed, the satellite tracking channels, and the encrypted diplomatic cables coming out of Washington, Abu Dhabi, and Tehran. The moment the next domino falls, the moment a missile is launched or a secret backdoor deal is struck, I will be right back here on this screen, unfiltered, raw, and ready to break down the reality of my army of minds. Keep your notification turned on, keep your eyes logged onto this channel, Stay safe out there, stay incredibly sharp, and never ever trust the official narrative. Follow AK Kashyap Unfiltered for real, unfiltered geopolitics. The truth warriors are now active. The line is drawn, and I will see you on the very next broadcast, the exact second the siren starts to wail. Stay vigilant, stay aware, stay unfiltered with AK Kashyap Unfiltered.